I think about the Israelites. They had been in slavery year after year. They were very mistreated, taken advantage of. It was unfair. But one day, God supernaturally brought them out. And after much traveling, they finally made it to the Promised Land. They were camped right next door. God promised them the victory. All they had to do was fight for the land. They were so close, they could taste it. Their dream was about to come to pass. Moses sent some men in to spy out the land. They came back and said, Moses, we'll never defeat these people. They're so much stronger, so much more powerful than us. We don't have a chance. That negative report spread like wildfire throughout the rest of the camp. The people got discouraged. They started complaining, saying, Moses, why did you bring us out here in the desert to die? Why can't we just go back to being slaves? Do you know, those people, even though they were camped next door, they never made it into the Promised Land. They wandered around in the wilderness for over 40 years. What's my point? It became permanent because of their own wrong thinking. It was never God's intention for them to stay in mediocrity. God never planned for them to wander around defeated, constantly struggling, constantly in lack. They had seen God do great things. But when we get discouraged and we slip over into that negative mentality and we start thinking, my obstacles are too big, I don't see how it could ever change, it's always going to be like this, then our own wrong thinking is what allows it to become permanent. And some of you today, just like them, you are camped right next door to your Promised Land. You are so close to a major victory. You are so close to seeing that promotion you've been praying for, close to a new day in your health, close to seeing that child turn around. Let me encourage you, don't do like they did and say, oh, Joel, I've had this sickness for years. My obstacles are too big. I never get any good breaks. No, shake that off and let this seed of faith take root. You've got to have the attitude, it's my time. This may look permanent, but I know better. God says it's temporary. I'm not going to live my life defeated, depressed, negative. I'm a believer and not a doubter. I'm going to step into my Promised Land. It is only permanent if we allow it to become permanent in our own minds. The book of Genesis, Isaac was talking to his son Esau. And he said something so interesting. He said, Esau, your brother has tricked me, and he has carried away your blessing. This is saying someone or something can carry away our blessing. I'm sure sometimes we've let disappointments carry away our blessing. Sometimes we let discouragement carry away a blessing. No doubt at times we've all let other people steal our blessings. I don't know about you, but this does something to me on the inside. It makes me more determined than ever that I am going to stand in faith and not allow anyone or anything to carry away my blessings. And some of you today, you need to go back and get your blessings. And that's the great thing about God. It's never too late. You can reclaim lost blessings. Maybe you didn't go into the Promised Land the first time you were camped next door. Your attitude needs to be, I'm going to go in the next time. No person is going to talk me out of my victory. No obstacle is going to defeat me. No sickness is going to hold me back. No disappointment is going to discourage me. What I lost in the past, I know God can make up in the future, so I'm going into that reclaiming mode. You need to reclaim every lost opportunity. Reclaim every blessing you let pass by. Reclaim every promotion that should have been yours. Reclaim the victory that people tried to talk you out of. If you'll rise up in faith, it is never too late. Somebody may have carried away a blessing, but this is a new day, and God is saying you can still live a life of victory. You can still accomplish every dream. You can still overcome that addiction. You can still be happy in your marriage. You can still live a blessed, prosperous life. It is never too late to become all that God's created you to be. I think about how when Jesus prayed for people, often he would ask how long they had been that way. He said to the man at the pool of Bethesda, how long have you been laying here? The man answered, 38 years. He asked a woman that was all bent over, how long you been this way? She said, 18 years. These parents brought their grown son to Jesus. He was blind. Jesus said, how long has he not been able to see? They said, since he was born. Why was Jesus so interested in the length of time? Why didn't he just heal them and go on to the next one? It's because he wanted to show us how nothing is permanent. He wanted it to be forever recorded so we would always know it is never too late. It's interesting, at that pool, Jesus healed the man that had been there the longest. He didn't just randomly pick him out. No doubt there were hundreds of other sick people. Why did Jesus choose him? To make sure we understood that even if it's been 38 years, even if it looks like it's set in stone, it looks like it's never going to change, it's just impossible, God says, if you believe, all things are possible. And some of you today have faced things that have been there year after year, and you're just about to give up. You're just about to write it off. But God is saying, it's time to believe again. I can still bring that dream to pass. I can still restore your marriage. I can still heal your body. I can still bring the right person into your life. Don't stop believing. It's not over until God says it's over. You may have been praying about a situation for a year or 5 years, I don't know, 10 years. But as long as you're praying, God is working. As long as you're believing, God is working. I met a 90-year-old man in the lobbies a couple of weeks ago after the service. He had never been to church a day in his life. 90 years old, never set foot in a church. That morning, he had stood up and made a decision for Christ. His family was so excited. His wife was there, his children, his grandchildren. They told how they had been praying for their father for over 60 years. This wife had gone to church without him year after year, taking the children, being her best. She said, every time I pulled out of the driveway, headed to church, I said, Father, thank you that one day my husband will be coming with me. One day he'll be serving you. Don't you know, she could have given up after a year, after 5 years, after 10 years, but she was bold enough to keep believing. She knew as long as she was believing, God was working. She knew this promise that God would finish what he started. She had big tears coming down her cheeks. She said, Joel, today is the fulfillment of a dream coming to pass. Friends, it's not over until God says it's over. You may have been praying for a loved one for many years, but keep on praying. Your day of victory is on its way. You may have struggled with that addiction for a long, long time, but you keep resisting it. You keep being your best because your day of freedom is on its way. Or maybe you've had a dream in your heart. It's been so long and you've tried here and there, nothing's worked out. But if you will stay in faith and keep believing, keep praying, keep hoping, keep being your best, God still has a way to bring it to pass.